So, Persona 3. Disclaimer first that this is not no review or anything like that. I'm just pretty much going to be gushing about it for the next 30 minutes or so. And all the footage recorded is footage I had left over from when I was doing those hard mode bosses, and I lost my save data. So yeah. But Persona 3 is my favorite game of all time. My favorite RPG. It has my favorite video game soundtrack, my favorite characters. It's just the perfect game to me. And it does have a lot of problems. I know that. And I overlook all of it because the game means so much to me. The reason why it probably means so much to me is because when I actually played it, it was actually... Oh, what year was it? Man, I don't remember the exact year, but it was a really, really tough time in my life. And I usually play games to escape. And I was getting tired of every game that I was playing at that point, which was Final Fantasy, Pokemon. I couldn't really get into Earthbound. I couldn't find any RPGs, and I loved those types. So I just looked up a list of the top 10 RPGs from IGN or some shit like that, and Persona 3 was on there. I looked up the intro and the awakening scene, and I fell in love. Like a year after that, I actually got to play the game. And I fell in love with it. Personally, okay, this is the portable version, the footage you're seeing, because it's just the easiest to record, and even then it's not perfect. But I do think FES is the better version of the two, because you can switch weapons, and the overworld is not that weird orb thing. You actually can walk around. Besides that, though, they're both pretty good versions of the game. So, I don't have a script for this. I did, but every time I try to record this with the script, something happened in the background, and I was just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it. Like, fuck it, we'll do it live. I want to talk about the story first. So, well, I mean, I guess I can spoil it because it's an old game. It came out on the PS2, but I'll use the minimum spoilers. You play as Minato Arisato or Makoto Yuki. You're just getting transferred to Gekukan High, and shit happens. Like, on like your third night there, this giant creature called the Shadow of the Magician Arcana attacks the dorm. You and Yukari have to run to the roof, and the Invoker slides to you, and you just fucking shoot yourself in the head and summon Orpheus. It's crazy. The beginning is crazy, and it hooked me. Like, I had to know what was gonna happen next. I was like, that's insane, man. That's so emo. That's so edgy. And you know, I'm an emo and edgy person. But through the game, pretty much every month, there's this huge shadow that you have to take down. And once you do, well, this technically happens off screen, but the shadow goes back to where it came from, and then all 12 of them together cause that Prizer, which calls down Nyx. But, of course, there's a whole bunch of other stuff in there, and a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm just skipping over. But that's just the basic plot of the game, and it's actually really good. Later Persona games, I feel like... Okay, I think the best plot in a Persona game has to be the Persona 2 duology. Then Persona 3, then Persona 5, then Persona 4, then Persona 1. But it's a really good plot, it's really interesting. The characters are all nice. And you can, well, you can't relate to all of them. Like, at first I couldn't relate to Junpei at all. Until I played the female protagonist and learned more about him. I was like, aw, Junpei, and aw, Shinji. And, you know, the side games help flesh them out more. But every character is lovable. They all have great voice acting. A lot of people don't like Fuuka's voice, but I actually like it. I find it more soothing. I don't know. I don't know why a lot of people don't like Fuuka's voice. I know later games, like in the Arena series, her voice got better. Her voice actors definitely get better, or she got a different voice actress. But in this game, her voice still sounds pretty fine to me. Now, the music, oh my god. This is the best Persona soundtrack in my opinion. Even the Tartarus theme, which is playing now, I'm not sure if y'all can hear it. I'm not sure how I'm gonna put this together yet. But Tartarus theme is redundant, yeah, but I like how each block gets more instruments into it. The battle theme, Mass Destruction, is such a banger. It's amazing. The female has amazing music. She has a separate soundtrack. That's really good too. The boss theme is great. The shadow... The shadow bosses in Tartarus. it's coming a blank right now. I guess I just always call them the Tartarus bosses. But but that theme is great. The Arcana Shadows bosses is great. Fucking Jin and Takaya's theme is great. The Social Link music is great. Joy, that's a great theme. The Dorm music is great, especially during the ending of the game when it changes and it's, you know, more sad because I love somber music. But the soundtrack is really great. The only theme that I really don't like that much, to be honest, is probably, well, not for this game, but The Answer, which is part of FES. I really don't like that dungeon music. Like, what is it? The Sea of Doors? I don't know. It kind of just, Well, wait, technically that song is in the game if you face Margaret. But that's probably the only song in the whole soundtrack I just don't really like. I can go without it. But the soundtrack is just, it's great. Like, I will actually have this soundtrack on my phone. Oh, even the remixes, yeah, just seeing a menu pop up right there. They have remixes from other Persona games on there. Like Maya's theme, Time Castle from Persona 2, those are all good versions of the songs. Not better than the originals, but it is still a really great soundtrack. I love it more than anything. The graphics are nice. I think this game actually looks prettier than Persona 4. Well, FES looks better than the original Persona 4. Persona 4 Golden looks better than Persona 3 Portable. It probably because the whole glowing orb thing to represent your character. I don't know. I really don't like that. The only reason why Portable is held back. That and Minato can only use one type of weapon, which is short swords, or well, technically a cleaver, which he has right there. But besides that, that's it about the soundtrack and the graphics. It's just really great. Now, the best thing about the Persona games to me, it doesn't matter if the soundtrack is terrible. If I'm not interested in the story, Persona 4, the gameplay is great. The original FES had some sort of, kind of like a press turn system, where if you would knock down an enemy, you would get a one more, just like it's going to show here. Right? But if you didn't knock down every enemy when you use a Maha spell, like your turn will be over. You had to knock down all of them. So that gave a bit more strategy too. And instead of the defense command, it was a pass command, which is kind of weird because you couldn't defend in the original. I actually do like the defense command more. But this system right here on portable version is just pretty much the Persona 4 Golden version? No, not Golden. The original Persona 4. I was thinking Golden because of the team attacks. But no, that was in the original Persona 4 too. Even though here the team attacks are all the same, they just have whatever element that the person teaming up with you have. So like if it's Akihiko, it'll be a strike attack. If it's Ken, it'll be a pierce attack. Ikari, pierce attack. Mysterio, slash attack. Another thing that I love about Persona 3 over Persona 4 is that it's more than one type of physical attack. In Persona 4, everything was just the physical attack. Persona 3 is strike, slash, or pierce. And that gives it a bit more strategy, and now moves like Kill Rush, which is strike damage. See, in Persona 4, moves like Kill Rush and Swift Strike, well, okay, that's terrible. A terrible example, because they're both strike moves in this game too. But they would just both be physical instead of having a different physical element. That's why in Persona 5, I like how they brought back gun attacks. It's not as in-depth as Persona 3. But it's still better than have everything as one physical attack. Because in Persona 4, it really didn't feel like any difference from the multi-hit attacks. They were just the same thing, with a different animation, probably. Which sucked. It sucked. And unfortunately, I think... Oh, actually, yeah. A downside, I guess I can say about the portable version. See, this is how you know I don't have a script. I'm all over the place. But, certain personas can learn skills, like the Bowmaster and stuff like that, for different weapons that you would use. But since you only can use short swords, it's just Arms Master. Which kind of sucks. But, I mean, it still does the same thing. I just don't understand why you could only use short swords. Maybe it's because they let you control your party members, since in the original FES you couldn't do that. Maybe that's it? That's my only guess for it? I still think it's dumb. We need another Persona 3 game like FES, but with all the benefits of portable. But mostly FES. Not saying portable was a bad game or anything, but FES is just better in my opinion. Rambling aside, the gameplay, each persona you have has attributes, what it's weak against, what it's strong against, and it has its own stats. Your main characters, Minato, Mitsuru, Akihiko, and Junpei, which is on the screen right now, they don't have their own stats necessarily. It's their persona that gives them their stats, which for everyone but Minato is basically like, that's their stats. But Minato is special where he can have more than one persona. He's a wild card. Everyone in Persona 1 and 2 could do that, but he's special because no one else can in this universe for some reason. I don't know why they changed it like that. But it's still pretty cool. So he's pretty much, you want to be a physical attacker, just give him a persona like Ares. A magic attacker, give him Celebi, or whatever. He can be your healer, your magic attacker, whatever role you think would fit. Especially in Portable, since you can control your other party members. So, if you didn't want him to be a healer, like, you can actually count on Yukari healing you. Unlike in FES, like, the AI in FES is so bad sometimes. But besides battling, which is all you're going to see here, there's actually a social aspect in the Persona game. It's half dating sim, half RPG, which is really cool. You get to learn about your party members. The male can only learn about the female party members. Like, you can't social link with the guys on FES or the Portable version if you're playing the male, which is dumb. But you can learn about your classmates, your party members, people outside their own problems and issues, and I love that so much. Even people that aren't part of the social links, they have their own little stories. Like this one girl who's madly in love with this one guy, and like throughout the semester she gets closer and closer. That's really cool. But what the social links do is that when you fuse Persona, they give them extra experience. So it will be pretty much, so you won't have to grind as much. So social links don't have that much effect on gameplay. Not really until Persona 5, where they actually gave you more perks. But it's still nice that you won't have to grind up an absurd amount of levels just to get that counter or that power charge skill. Because you do grind a lot in the Persona games. Persona 3 definitely. Especially on your first playthrough. But yeah, I think Persona 3 is the most grind heavy out of the three main modern Persona games. 3, 4, and 5. I didn't have to grind that much in Persona 4. I found Persona 4 to be a bit easy. Persona 5, the beginning was hard as fuck. But after that, it was pretty easy. Persona 3, my first time playing, kicked my ass. Like, through the whole damn game. Like, it was bad. But the game is an RPG. You have to grind a lot. But I think the grinding is a bit rewarding. Because when your Persona learns a new skill, when you go fuse them, it's a chance you can pass the skill on. Now, when skill gets passed on, it's different for each Persona. Like, some Personas just can't learn support skills. Some Personas can't learn fire skills. The game doesn't really tell you that, as far as I know. But, it's kind of common sense. Like, Jack Frost can't learn Agidyne unless you give him a skill card in Persona 3 Portable, which is dumb. But, it's just common sense. But the mix and matching of skills with Personas is highly addicting, because each Persona set can be different, and you can just put so much time into making the ultimate Persona, like making Pixie have Megadolan, which I think is actually a side quest that you have to do. It's Megadolan or a Megiddo. It's one of them, but I know it's a side quest. Like in this playthrough that I was doing before I lost my save data, I was making Lilim my main Persona, because Lilim's one of my favorite Personas. She's low level in this game, so I was just stocking her up on skill cards and a couple of wands, a couple queens and stuff like that to increase her stats. But you can be very creative with your Persona ideas for you. Unfortunately for your main party, since they're all stuck on one Persona, their set's pretty much always going to be the same. You can choose what weapons, equipment, and accessories they use, but it's nowhere near as creative as Minato, because again, he's the wild card. But I fell in love with this game for the gameplay, for the music, for the atmosphere. It's not too atmospheric, but nothing on the levels like freaking Resident Evil or anything like that. But especially near the end of the game, I really felt genuinely kind of creeped out where you see like Nick's written on graffiti like on the walls and on the floor and everything. How people with apathy syndrome are just roaming the streets, and you're just like, oh damn, it really is the end of the world, isn't it? Fuck. Like, I had a lot of those moments playing this game. It just really hit me hard. And now, even though it would seem like I'll play Persona 4 more for what I'm about to say, but whenever I'm just in a sad mood or I just need to get away and feel happier, I'll play Persona 3. Even though Persona 3 is really depressing compared to Persona 4. Like, jeez, everyone, Shinji dies, spoiler alert. Mitsuru's dad dies, another spoiler alert. At the end of the damn world, at the end of the game. And then what happens to Minato, oh my god. I actually cried at the credits. It's like the only game to this day that made me cry. Persona 4, I was a little sad. Persona 5, I wasn't sad at all. I was just like, oh man, that was cool. Long as fuck. It took me like 90 hours to beat Persona 5 in my first playthrough, which is insane. My first playthrough of Persona 3 and Persona 4 was only like 60. But that's about Persona 5 and not about Persona 3. Let's see. We talked about the graphics, a little bit about the story, the gameplay. It's a lot of stuff to do in this game, of course. Like, 100%ing it is insane. Filling out the compendium, I still haven't done that. The only game I filled out the compendium on is Persona 5, because it's a bit easy to track what you're missing. Not in this game unless you use some sort of outside source. There's a whole bunch of side quests, super bosses. Elizabeth is the hardest Velvet sibling of them all. Without a doubt. Like, I only beat her once. And I got lucky as hell, too. I beat Margaret a couple times, and I lost to the twins, like, twice. But I didn't even see for Elizabeth and Margaret. I actually had to look up what the hell I was supposed to do. Because they kept Mekidola me and killing me. I didn't know it was, like, a time limit. But for the twins, I just jumped into it and just beat them. I knew I had to kill them at the same time. I mean, that's what I assume whenever I'm fighting two enemies of a super boss stature. But Elizabeth is one of the hardest bosses in video game history, in my opinion. Because she will flat out kill you if the conditions aren't met, and she doesn't even tell you the conditions. So if you don't know beforehand, you're gonna die. And that's just that. But this game just means a lot to me. It really, it's just so, I had so many great memories. It was like the first RPG that I played. It was like, yeah, okay, this is gonna be harder than I thought. It was my first introduction to that SMT series proper. I played Persona 1 before this. I have the PSP version, and I beat it. And then after that, I kinda played Shin Megami Tensei 1. Kinda. But like, I saw Pixie in there. And I was like, oh, that's from Persona 3. This must be the same thing. Yeah, no, I stopped really fast about that. But after playing and beating Persona 3, it actually made me interested in playing the Shin Megami Tensei games. Because on PS2, it was called Shin Megami Tensei Persona 3 FES. So then I found out about Nocturne and Demi Kids, SMT4, SMT4 Apocalypse, the Devil Survivor series, Strange Journey, Majin Tensei, and it was just like a huge overload. And I was like, okay, I have to try all these games. And I haven't tried all of them, I still haven't. Like, I haven't played through SMT-If or SMT1. I played through SMT2, SMT4, 4 Apocalypse. Haven't beat Nocturne. But Persona 3 was my introduction to Atlas, really. Well, it got me more interested in Atlas, because Persona 1 was technically my first Persona game. Persona 3 was the first Persona game I actually owned. Then it was Persona 4. Then Persona 2 Innocent Sin, Eternal Punishment. Then Persona 5. Well, Persona 4 Arena was before that, and Arena 2, but I'm not counting those, just counting RPGs. But Persona 3 has done a lot for me. It made me appreciate soundtracks in video games, because before, it was just like background noise to me. But this soundtrack made me like, oh wow, this is actually some good shit, good ass music. Made me care about story and characters, development. It made me not want to rush through a game. Like my first playthrough, when I went up against Nyx, and I got my ass kicked, of course, I fucking did. I thought I couldn't beat her, so I was just like, well, I guess I could grind, but I'm going to get sick, because I thought you could get sick on the final day. Turns out you can't. And I was like, okay, but when I beat Nyx, the game is over. So I want it to be over. So I restarted the whole game and just did the social links I didn't do before. And that was my first experience with Persona 3. I made it to the final boss. I don't want this game to end. Also, she's kicking my ass. So you know what? I'm gonna just restart and do everything I didn't do. Then after I did that, I played the answer. Oh my god, the difficulty jump is crazy insane. But I eventually beat the answer. Got a little bit of closure on what happened to Minato. Not as much. Still heartbreaking. It's still heartbreaking. Like, Minato, why? Why? A little bit better save you soon. But, but it helped me appreciate story, characters, and replay value. Because before Persona 3, the only other game I played over was like Pokemon Leaf Green. And just starting off with a different Pokemon. I mean, I pretty much use the same team, just a different starter. And I wouldn't even do the Sevia Isle stuff, but I found out it was Elizabeth, and it was a New Game Plus, which, until this point, I never even knew what a New Game Plus was. And I was like, oh, cool, I can start the game over just broken as hell. Sure, let's do that. And then I saw a new quest that was up there. I was like, okay. So it taught me replay value, post-game, which is great. A lot of Persona games have great post-games. Except for Persona 4. I don't know. I don't like how Persona 4 handled Margaret. Because you have to beat the game twice, pretty much, just to face Margaret. Persona 3, after you get access to the quest again, you can go and face Elizabeth right then and there. I mean, you shouldn't, but you can. In Persona 5, did you have to beat the game fully again in Persona 5? I don't know. No, you didn't have to, because I only played through Persona 5 fully once. It's a crime, I know, but it's a long game. But I did it. I really did enjoy it. But Persona 3 is just an amazing game. If you haven't played it, you definitely should. In my opinion, it's the best Persona game, despite its faults. And it will be hard jumping from Persona 5 to Persona 3. It's like a huge jump. Even more so if I do one of these about Persona 1 or 2, because, oh my god, that is a huge jump. But it's definitely worth it for Persona 2. Persona 1 is a good game, but yeah, the story is nowhere near as engaging. But I think that's all I have to say about Persona 3. It's just a really great game. Amazing graphics for the time. It still looks pretty good. The FES version still looks pretty good. The music is fantastic. The battle system, it has its problems here and there, but it's still pretty good. Not as fleshed out as later games. The original FES is not as fleshed out as later games. Like, can't control your party members and the no guard command, which is dumb. But something I actually wish they would bring back. Okay, I know I'm rambling a bit, but something I wish they would bring back in later Persona games is the tactics. I know it's in Persona 4 and 5, but in Persona 3 FES, every time you beat like a main boss, you got a new tactic, which it wasn't as good as directly controlling your party members, but I liked that a bit more because it felt like they were real people doing what they wanted based on their personality, just with a little bit of your direction. It's dumb, but that's how I played Persona 4 for the first time. Until I got to, Shadow Teddy, and I was like, oh wait, there's no guard tactic. Okay, well, I guess I'm doing direct commands. But, yeah, Persona 3, it's a great game. Everything about it, in my opinion, is fantastic. It has issues, yeah, but I can overlook those issues. Like, it's my favorite game. Your favorite game doesn't mean you love everything about it and think it's just completely perfect. It's about loving it. I mean, yeah, you still can love everything about it, but you have to be able to admit its flaws. And yeah, the characters can be shallow sometimes. The gameplay is unforgiving as fuck on your first playthrough. Like, especially FES. Because once you hit one of those little access points, they didn't count that as your floor. So you had to make it from the main access point to the main one. That was unforgiving as hell. But that's all I have to say about Persona 3. It's just a great game. It's my favorite game of all time, and I love it. Until I decide to make another video. Bye.